upload.
This
And
is
we're
the
in
Rec Room, right?
second,
Not
you'll have-
Firewall?
no. This is Rec Room this time. Okay? You hear that? This is Rec Room. If you want to point at the
David, go
camera,
left.
guys, point directly in front of me, and that's where the camera is. That's where you
On your
want to
6.
point.
So over here, so like I need to constantly be looking at you, or
No. It's like
to know where
6
you're
feet
looking.
in front of me. That's where the camera's at. So right
This is like bonus
over
content.
here is the camera. All right, yeah. So
Okay.
we are live right now. That means across Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Mixer, Periscope, around the world, everyone can see us here in Rec Room. Upload VR, the greatest VR website in the universe. Thank you.
I've tweeted. I specifically told you not to do introductions.
Dang it! I'm sorry. Okay. All right. So I don't know if.
Everything you just said.
All right. Sorry. We'll go back. Back it up.
Right. When I'm ready? When we're good?
No. Yeah. Go ahead. You're good.
Okay.
I'll
Ian,
look-
what are you doing?
I don't know. He's look. Is his?
I took a
I don't-
selfie.
Okay.
Important
Upload it
journalism
somewhere,
going
somewhere.
on here. Right, let me just shuffle my papers. Make sure this is on the live stream. Shuffle.
Oh my god.
Greetings, everyone, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the first ever VR download. This is Upload VR's new weekly, hopefully, podcast. Hey, everyone clap.
You're gonna have to work on our microphones.
Yeah.
I was shouting a bit, sorry. Oh, don't do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
High five.
Clapping.
Oh, I did something.
Golf
Anyway,
clap.
we
Golf clap.
Weird things happen.
Oh hey,
I
we have
am
our
your
first.
host.
We have our first review. John says, "LOL." Thank you, John.
Okay. That's a good
That's
start.
a good first reaction on
It
the,
is.
on the scale of things that could happen on the internet.
Yeah.
You know, that's pretty good.
Not bad. Not
Okay,
bad.
so far this has been an absolute train wreck, but
No,
I am
no,
your
no.
host, Jamie Feldham. Let me introduce myself. I am apparently senior editor of the podcast, and I am your host week in, week out, hopefully. With me, I have the Jaggernaut, David Jagno.
Here in the middle.
Games editor
Here in the middle.
extraordinaire.
Just so, in case you're curious why the camera follows everywhere I look, it's because that's what Rec Room decided it's going to do. Yeah, I'm the one streaming using this selfie camera, and I'll look around to make sure you can see who's talking. This is Jamie. So from your point of view, he's on my right, but he's on my left inside VR. And then over
It's
here,
confusing.
we have Ian Hamilton.
We have Ian.
Hi.
Ian, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hello, I am Ian Hamilton. I have been reporting on VR for, since 2012. I got my first Oculus demo. It was the duct tape demo back in their offices in Irvine, and got hooked on VR, and
Oh, why did I
I've been
say
trying to
introduce
understand Magic Leap and VR for 5 years now, so that's me. Yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for giving me that opportunity to present myself to the world.
yourself? Okay,
And,
okay.
Yeah.
We're really glad
The
to have you on board here.
metaverse. Is that what people say here on the YouTubes? Is that's what I heard? It's the metaverse.
Yeah,
Metaverse,
apparently.
This is the metaverse?
Yeah, sure.
So we
All
have
right,
tried to do podcasts.
we have
before.
another comment here from
You're
EAE.
so rude.
I don't know what that stands for. EAE. The first small steps towards San Junipero. Oh, deep. I like it. Great
Oh,
episode
San
of Black
Junipero.
Mirror.
We got right
Black-
to Black Mirror within
Yep.
the first 5 minutes of.
I think that
of our
means
podcast.
we're
That's-
doing something right. That's what that means.
I still haven't
Yeah.
watched Black Mirror, so I probably.
Oh,
shouldn't do
come
that
on,
for the
Jamie.
podcast. Sorry.
Hey, let's
sorry.
piss everyone else off. I liked Ready Player One. Just I don't know how many people out there like Ready
Boo.
Player One. Ask them how they liked Ready Player One.
Yeah, let's
If you ask-
Jamie has a clipboard here, but we're going to ignore it. Instead, let's talk about
No. Right. Okay. Ready
Hey,
Player
show
One.
the clipboard. Let everyone at least understand the clarity of your writing.
Can they see this? Can they
Fire.
hold on. Okay. Oh yeah, look at
Fire,
that.
that's for
Let me
Firewall.
switch.
Look
Let
at
me
this,
switch
okay.
my camera angle here, so that you can actually see my point of view and take a look at this.
Oh,
Look at
this.
these
Here we go.
notes. I
Look at
believe
these subjects.
they call these the what is this, the runner notes? Is that what they're called on the
Cliff
TV?
notes, you could say.
The
You could
TV
say Cliff
biz.
notes if
Yeah.
you'd like.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, you know.
Yeah,
Well, let's
Now
go
we're
on
not
the
gonna forget
subject.
anything.
Please translate your writing, please. Yeah,
Okay, well, just to start off, just to introduce everyone to the show a bit. We've tried to do podcasts before, haven't we? Some of them have been pretty good, but we thought it's time to start trying to use it, do one in VR, right?
that is correct. That is an accurate summation.
It's going to be hard. There's going to be problems, but it's already been quite a lot of fun. And I think, you know, guys, what we'd really like is if you actually do manage to watch this thing, is to just head to our comment section. There's a story for this live stream right now. If you can head to the comment section and just tell us what you think, because we're going to be stumbling through this for the first few weeks for sure.
And as I think I said this in the beginning, but just to make sure everyone's aware, we are live across Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Mixer, and Periscope. So that's on Twitter as well. So no matter where you are, you should be able to watch us live right now. I'll do my best to respond to comments. I have most of them on screen that I can see using Restream. So Paradise Decay, hello. You say good evening. You must be over in the UK. Boomer Nick gave us some smiley faces. Dean, that is correct. This is Rec Room. Kev said he loved the 3D in Ready Player One. Best home 3D movie he's seen in a while.
He loved the 3D in Ready Player One.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Like the only person.
See, I got people fired up about the Ready Player One right off the bat. To be clear, you guys had problems with the book, right? Is that fair?
I thought he was a creepy
I've never read it.
stalker. Yeah, but I mean, I thought it was okay, I guess.
Okay, so I wanted to clarify. Wait, what did you think of the movie? It was a fun
movie.
movie.
I picked up the
table
again.
Oh my god, it happened again.
I picked up the table again. Anyway, sorry, it's back to where it should be.
I'm trying to get the comments in a good spot so I can see them. Sorry.
That's okay. So while you're doing that,
yeah, why don't you go ahead and start get us on track here?
Yeah, let's talk about our first subject of the week, which is the release of none other than Firewall. A long-anticipated PSVR game was announced at PlayStation Experience last year. We've been looking forward to this one for a long time because it kind of looks like the first. I shouldn't say AAA, should I? But let's say like rock solid online shooter developed by not so much as an indie studio or what you traditionally think of as an indie studio, maybe a couple of steps above that, because obviously we have Onward by Downpour Interactive, which is amazing, and Pavlov VR, which is also really, really popular. But Firewall, I think, in particular, is something that people have been looking forward to because, first of all, there's the PlayStation VR aim controller, which provides a really immersive experience, right?
Oh, totally. And it feels super good.
And then it's just the polish as well, right? Which is something that you touch in. David reviewed the game this week. You gave it a 8.5, a 9?
I gave it a 9.
A 9. That's
a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, and I think the polish has a lot to do with that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the polish and the progression. Yeah, I think the progression is a big reason because it gives you an incentive to keep playing, and it gives you goals to work towards. It gives you a sense of accomplishment after every match, because that's something that's missing from Pavlov and Onward. It's, both those games are great, but Firewall, it really feels like a complete package already. It's not an early access release. You jump in, you can start training, you can jump online with friends, do squads, you can do PvP, you can unlock new skins and guns. It's a very robust experience.
To be clear, it's a full package as a multiplayer experience, right? There's no single player worth buying.
No, yeah, that's accurate. If you don't intend to play online multiplayer, then you should not buy the game. That's, point blank into the, period. If you want to play by yourself, Firewall's not for you. Even if you play the solo training missions, you still have to be online. So that's, it's very much an online only game. Like literally, you have to be connected to the internet even to play by yourself. So yeah.
And I'd also add to that it's very much something you want to play online if you're okay with either speaking to strangers or have a lot of friends with PSVR. because
Yes.
me and you played some matches earlier today, and it's a game that absolutely hinges on communication. If everyone's just completely silent and running around maps by themselves, not talking, then it's just going to be chaos, and you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
The thing I wanted to say is, I've been impressed just watching the streams with you, David. Like, it's a lot of fun just to watch this game being played by someone else. And I say that as someone who got into the game and had simulator sickness in like 20 minutes because those whatever the default comfort options are not built for my stomach and made myself sick. But so I made myself sick, and then I watched David on stream, and it was enormously fun because of the way the cameras are angled. You can still watch the stream even if your favorite player has died. So it works really well as a spectator sport.
Yeah,
that's
totally.
quite a clever angle because you can still talk to your teammates while you're watching those cameras, but they set the cameras up almost as security cameras in each map, so you can't go anywhere and look at everything, but you can try and cycle through and get a good angle to kind of give guys on your team a bit more feedback, which is a really nice touch, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of elements of Firewall that they just pretty, shamelessly stole from Rainbow Six Siege, which is fine. It's a lot of those elements like the camera watching, the no respawn, the objective based modes, attack, defend, contractors with different skills, loadouts, all of that is Rainbow Six. Which there are differences. It's not just Rainbow Six VR, but that's a lot of stuff they took from that game. But when you put it in VR, it makes it feel so much different. It's it feels like a brand new experience, even if you've played hundreds of hours of Rainbow Six. Once you get a gun in your hand and you can peek around a corner physically by leaning, and you can blind fire by reaching over your head, and you can chuck grenades around corners, and it totally changes things. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
What were you doing?
I was just imitating ducking. Anyway. Ian, something I want to ask you about this game is a couple of months ago you wrote an article about how Oculus and Sony were funding exclusive virtual reality content that had you killing humans, but not humans played by other characters online, like NPCs and AI controlled characters. Well, is there any difference to you when it comes to Firewall and you're ganging up two teams of humans training to kill each other?
Yeah, I don't know. It's such a complex issue, and I don't want to say something overly simplified on this issue. It's a fun. I can respect how much fun a game like this is. It's incredibly fun to watch. It's no different than a game of paintball, as long as you're in your right mind, right? 99% of people
One
everywhere.
second. Kev says sound is kind of low, so I'm going to turn the volume of you guys up. Okay, so they should be louder now. You should be able to hear him a little bit better, Kev. Thank you for the comment.
So anyways, when we talk about risks or concerns here, we're talking about 1%, way less than 1% of the population being, having a problem with their grip on reality, and then playing a game like that might not be great for those types of people. But the whole question is whether it needs to be up to Sony and Oculus to pay for these games to be made. And I don't know. There's a fair argument to be made that Firewall is a good enough game that it'll sell a lot of headsets. I just think we need to be aware of people who aren't in their right mind using the same technology the rest of us do, and how they might perceive all of this.
Could you also kind of, on the flip side of that, almost make an argument that, kind of like going to a shooting range, it's a little bit like an outlet. Like if you have an interest in, guns and that kind of thing, then maybe this is something that you can do, as a replacement. Not to say that someone's going to pick between playing Firewall and, being violent, but just almost like it kind of, satiates a little bit of your interest in guns and stuff like that.
Sure, I think that's a very good point. I mean, I think that's what's fun about watching it is it feels like a game of paintball, and you get that now at home for free. I mean, not for free. You had to pay for the headset and get it in your home, but now you don't have to pay $80 or whatever a realistic trip to the paintball was going to cost. So like it gives you more of what you already love. It's just I always think about those people that are at the fringes of our society that don't have their right mind about this stuff, or are it's they can't dictate what the rest of us do in VR, but we still need to think about it at least. And
yeah, fair. That's a fair point.
It's very tough when Sony and Oculus talk about so much hope being created by these headsets for the most popular thing to do in the headsets to be shooting other people. I think it's a really conflicting set of messages you're sending people.
That's true, right? Because I mean, like Oculus obviously does quite a lot of VR for good initiatives and stuff as well, but it's not necessarily what the most popular content is on the Rift, and this is a headset primarily aimed at gamers right now, and gamers know what they love, and the industry knows what it loves, which is first and foremost taking lives is what happens in this industry more than anything else. And I'm a huge gamer, so I'm not putting that down necessarily. For me, I've always had a conflicting view on violence in VR, and I don't actually necessarily know that Firewall is the game to spark the debate, because I think it's relatively toned down compared to what we're going to get in the future, undoubtedly.
Yeah. There's hardly any blood, and bodies disappear. You can't manipulate corpses. It's not there's no gore or anything like that. And as far as like military shooters go, it is quite tame. But just to go to the comments a little bit, someone was asking a question about. First of all, they want a release date for Blood and Truth. I'm right there with you. We don't know yet. Yep. But also, secondly, someone had a good point that there's a lot of big games coming out this fall outside of VR. There's Spider-Man, there's Red Dead, there's all these games coming out. Do you guys think that Firewall could suffer, that people might move on to these other non-VR games that are more robust and offer a longer experience?
I think the PSVR community is really, really dedicated, and I think we've seen a lot of endurance when it comes to games like Wipeout and Skyrim already.
Mm-hmm.
And I know obviously Wipeout is an online game, but I think that's primarily campaign driven. I think this is the first. I'm confident this is the first online game we're going to see for PSVR in particular that has a really strong following. I don't think it's going to be a case of in 2 months from now you sign on and you can't find a game. I think this game's going to be strong for a long time.
Even requiring 8 people, because I know that games like Riggs and Starblood and Drive Club and even Farpoint, which is 1v1 or 2-player co-op, you can't find a match in that.
But I'd argue that this is probably the biggest PSVR game to release since Skyrim, and we're still seeing lots of people talking about Skyrim week in, week out, and Resident Evil 7 also. If you check communities online, every day there seems to be someone posting about what an amazing experience that is, and I think that translates here, and that means that the community around this game is going to be sticky, especially if we're going to be seeing good DLC support and
Dean has a good point here that going back to the topic beforehand before we move on, he brings up the Payday 2, which got VR support, where you literally rob banks and kill police officers in that game. That's it's interesting that game hasn't sparked a little bit of outrage, but I think not many people are aware that it has VR support because it's a mod, and that game's been out for so long, it's not getting news cycles.
Yeah, that's true. I've only ever played Payday 2 once in VR, and I have to admit that actually was one of the times that I was just standing in the street gunning down a load of police officers, and it made me uncomfortable.
Well, I remember the thing that always stuck in my mind was the person playing GTA 5 in an Omni treadmill with an actual assault rifle mock-up and they were going through a corner store in VR, and then walking down the street and just gunning people down. And there's, it's such a sensitive subject and so complicated to talk about this, but we have to try to take the effort to have these careful conversations, I think. Because there's a gap. There's a gap between experiencing that on a screen and actually going through the training in VR. And we need to be aware of that gap and talk about it.
Makes sense?
Yeah. Sorry, Dave, what were you going to say?
No, I just said it makes sense.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, cool. Well, I think, we all agree that Firewall, if you have a PSVR and you don't mind shooting humans, you absolutely should be checking out Firewall, right?
Yeah, I think it is easily going to be a system seller. I mean, I'm already seeing on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, people are buying PS4s and PSVRs and in controllers. This is a game that's really, it's already got a big community around it. I think it's more so than any other PSVR release I've seen. Rig, Starblood, Sprint Vector. There's been a lot of multiplayer focused games, but I haven't seen a reception quite as rabid as this one.
I think it would help to recap the key thing that they need to improve that you've mentioned numerous times. The match length or the time between matches.
Yeah, so I think it's a couple things that all kind of combine together, and they're all the same general issue. And it's right now it's the issue of hold on, I'll switch the camera back. That right now, whenever you try to get into a match, you have to go into a lobby. You have to wait for all 8 people to be in the lobby. So your team of 4, their team of 4. Then there's a minute countdown where someone could get disconnected, they could leave, they could change their mind, something could happen. And then if that happens, you have to restart the countdown and wait again. So I would like for there to be a ready up button, first of all. And also, after your match is over, which is only a max of 5 minutes, but usually much shorter, you go through another loading screen, back to the lobby, back where you have to wait for all 8 people to be ready and load up the next match. So I would like for there to be a way to do multiple rounds, so maybe a best of 5 situation where you swap attack and defense back and forth. That would make sure that you're playing more games before you hit a loading screen and go back to the lobby. I think that would be a great addition, being able to easily jump back into the game without having to go all the way back like that. And just server issues in general. Right now, squads are getting split up, people are having disconnects. There's no dedicated servers on the dev side, so everything is player peer-to-peer hosted. So if the player that was designated as the host happens to get kicked, it cuts out all 8 people. So they need to have a host migration system of some kind. So it's all just kind of server wait time issues right now, but I think all that stuff can easily get sorted out within a week or 2. I mean, I'm not a dev, I don't know, but these guys worked at Blizzard and Activision and Treyarch, and I'm sure they understand the issue and how to fix it, I would imagine. A Firewall.
Ian, just so you know, it's 10 to.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get out.
You gonna duck out?
Yeah, I'm gonna head out. Thanks for tuning in, and
no problem.
This was fun. I hope our commenters like this, and I look forward to getting into more topics with you guys.
Yeah, we'll be back
just as an aside, Ian does have hair. He's not normally bald.
Yeah,
does he?
I'll work on my avatar before next time.
Does?
I have a lovely head of hair.
Okay.
All right, so Ian's gonna
you
dip
really
out.
do, actually.
Oh God, he died.
Ian's done.
He's dead.
Ian's dead.
Is he just gonna leave his body there? Is that what's happening?
God, his mouth just moved. That's creepy.
Oh no, his face is grimacing now. Oh God.
Oh! Thanos!
Oh, that was creepy.
The snap!
Yeah, that
Okay,
wasn't...
right, well...
Okay, well... Alright, so we're going to finish talking, we're going to go over the rest of the topics, just the two of us. We'll probably go a little bit faster to make up time. That was the big one at the beginning as far as...
Yeah, well, so that's the biggest game of the week. 2 other games I want to touch upon this week, and we won't usually just talk about games. We've got another subject here, it's just there are some big releases this week. I wanted to quickly touch upon Bout of Blood, give a shout out to that game, because that's kind of the sleeper hit of the week for me. That is a very interesting, again, another PSVR exclusive, and you're piloting a flying ship, and you're part of what's called the Bout of Blood tournament, and you take part in different games. Could be anything from a race to battling other ships, to collecting points, and it's this really interesting mix of ship-based combat, micromanaging within your ship, and then this really interesting little like relationship simulator almost.
Right.
Because
so the AI must be pretty good then.
Well, it's all done through kind of text-based stuff.
Okay.
And what happens is between matches, because you can get voted out of these tournaments, you want to make good relationships with people to make sure they don't vote you out, just in case you're in the lower rankings.
But to be clear, when you say people, you mean the AI participants?
Yes.
It's all single player. There's no multiplayer at all.
Yeah, that's another interesting point, because the setup's very similar to Rigs and Starblood Arena, but this time it's all single player. There's no multiplayer to speak of. And I actually think, we were talking about, is Firewall going to find the community? I think it's a really smart move for this game, because it just wouldn't find the community online, probably. Not because it's a bad game, just because that's the realism of VR.
Yeah, this is one of those indie games that would, on PC would have a dedicated, a couple thousand people, but if you are targeting a platform that only has 3 million max, it's going to be tough. So I think going single player is probably the right call on their part.
Yeah, and so that also introduces the relationship mechanic, which is, between matches, people will come to you and ask for favors. It might be they want you to give you some points. It might be they ask you to vote a certain person out. They might ask you during a mission to help them out so that they can take the points they found first. And it creates this really interesting dynamic element to the game where no match is the same. Essentially, you end up doing, forging these really fragile alliances, and the second you pull ahead a bit, you think, well, maybe I could screw this guy over now and take his points, and then he gets voted out, and there's kind of like this guilty feeling you get because of that, because maybe they're really nice.
Right.
And at the same time, there's whoever's at the top of the leaderboard who himself has built up really strong alliances. So you have to kind of compete with that as well, and try and win hearts and minds. And it's that element of the game that makes it the most interesting for sure. And I absolutely recommend, if anyone needs some downtime from Firewall this week, they check this game out, because it's an unexpected hit. I didn't think I was going to like it at all, but
this is a really PSVR exclusive, right?
Yeah. There's no word on a Rift or Vive release date yet. If I were to guess, and this is entirely speculation, it might be the kind of Moss type deal where Moss launched on PSVR first, and then a couple of months later it was somewhere else. Right. I would hope that's the case, because I'd like.
It's not published by Sony or anything, right? So I would think eventually it'll make its way over to PC. Yeah, Firewall's published, and I think the IP is owned by Sony. So that one I don't think is ever going to come to Rift or Vive, but Boat of Blood or Bout of Blood probably will.
Yeah. Other game this week is Torn, which I believe you've played as well, some of at least.
No, I never got around to it, but I still intend to. But so your review is great. Everyone should definitely read. So Jamie reviewed Boat of Blood and Torn. I reviewed Firewall. So we have reviews of all three of these games on the site already. Uploadvr.com.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So go ahead. Torn is kind of I've heard it's kind of a Twilight Zone, Myst kind of style adventure, right?
Yeah, and I describe it in my review as the Mad Scientist's VR game, because that is 100% what it is. What you play as a character called Catherine Patterson, I believe. You stumble across this giant mansion in the wilderness, and when you kind of make your way inside to check it out a little bit, and you uncover the machines of a inventor called I've forgotten his name now, but that's not important. Anyway, he is a crazy scientist type, and he's managed to lock his brain in basically a sort of alternate dimension, as all mad scientists do.
Right.
And what you do is you set about the house trying to unlock his memories and bring him back, and that's done again by puzzles, which are kind of these interesting. They're not hard, but they're engaging in the sense of they're so weird. What you're doing is you're trying to complete circuits with symbols that are assigned to objects around the house. So it might be that you look at the circuit and there's a certain symbol it needs to fill it in, and that symbol is fitted to, say, a grandfather clock, which means with a gravity tool you pick up a grandfather clock and then stick it to the side of the wall. and you've suddenly got all manner of objects around the room, just defying gravity, which is really funny and really crazy to look at. Which is why I describe it as a mad scientist game. When I was writing the review, I was constantly trying to avoid making a comparison to like a scene in the Back to the Future where Marty might be following Doc around, because that's what it feels like as a game, and it's a really interesting feeling, because I don't think anyone's really capitalized that in VR or in any game really.
Right.
So the puzzles are a little on the easy side, which I actually kind of like, because I get a massive headache when I get stuck on puzzles in VR. So that's nice.
Yeah, it can be quite frustrating.
It's got some writing issues. It's got some. It's got a twist at the end that falls really, really flat, which I really didn't care for.
But one thing I would point out, though, just from looking at your gameplay footage, it seems like the voice acting is fantastic.
Yeah, no, that's definitely one of the strong points of the game, and the writing, the dialogue is incredibly sharp, much sharper than you'd see in a lot of VR games, and visually it's stunning. It's amazing to look at, and it's not just on the surface level. Technically, there are thousands of objects within the mansion, all of which you can pick up and throw around, and it's really impressive. That one's developed by Aspire. They normally do, ports and publishing, but this was their first internally developed game.
Gotcha. Cool.
And I gave it 7.5. I enjoyed it.
One quick.
Are you looking through comments?
Yeah, one quick note here that we're getting from someone. This is from looks like Mamiya645 on YouTube. He is giving a shout out to Catch and Release. We haven't had a chance to dive into that yet, pun intended, but we definitely intend to. It's on our agenda of games to get to soon, hopefully, but as you've already seen, these 3 games all released this week, and we've been buried in reviews and live streams and giveaways and trying to cover them as best we can, and now PAX is coming up, and it's a busy time of year, but Catch and Release is definitely one that we intend to review for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a stressful week. I'd quite like to sit in the fishing boat for a bit, to be honest.
Oh, for sure, yeah. It sounds pretty nice.
Okay.
So I don't think we have any other lingering questions, really. I do think EAE has a comment here that I agree with. He says he doesn't think neither the Rift nor Vive have sold 1 million for either headset. I would probably agree, because I feel like they would announce it if they had.
I don't think they would now, because it would have taken so long to do it. But
true. Yeah, perhaps.
I agree that I don't think it has.
Yeah,
that's entirely speculation on my part. I don't. They play those numbers really close to their chest.
Yeah, there's no way to know. But obviously Sony has 3 million PSVRs, so that's good. That's a good accomplishment, I would say. So speaking of hardware, though, I think our last topic for the show is another headset.
Great segue.
Right?
Well done. Yeah, fantastic segue. Yeah. Yesterday there was a VR headset announcement. Yay! Which is always nice to see. Actually, always really popular to read about on Upload, because the industry still loves technology.
Yeah.
This is the next generation Acer Windows mixed reality headset, which is called the Ojo 500, I believe, which is a really, really weird name.
Just to be clear here for people in case they are unaware, Microsoft calls their platform Windows Mixed Reality, but they're VR headsets. So I've taken it upon myself to never use that term, because I think it's misleading. I always say Windows VR, even though that's not what Microsoft calls it. They call it Windows Mixed Reality, but it's just a VR headset. Those cameras on the front are just for tracking. I put mixed reality in hyphens. I was trying to grab my hands, but that made me. I put mixed reality in hyphens every time I do it. I think you mean quotes,
not hyphens,
right?
Speech marks.
Yeah. You British people and your isms.
I'm sorry. That's not even a Britishism. I was just playing out wrong that time. Anyway, so this is their next generation headset, and if you remember, last year they released their first Windows one, and it was thought to be one of the kind of lower end headsets, but still pretty good. And it got affordable very quickly.
It's very cheap, which is good, but It looks, first of all, it looks like you're wearing a toaster. It looks ridiculous. It's bright
Yeah, I don't think
blue,
you can
which
worry about that too much in VR right now, though.
I can't imagine who chose the color. It looks so silly. It's so bright blue, and
Yeah, it is.
you know, for basically the same price, you can get an HP, which is a much better Windows headset, in my opinion. It's more comfortable.
Well,
It
so
doesn't feel cheap.
this new one is a kind of sexier dark blue, I have to say. It looks like a Vive Pro. I actually really like it.
See here, this is the reason why Microsoft is wrong. Okay, EAE here on YouTube has a question, and this is a question that I think a lot of people have. He wants to know the difference between a HoloLens and Microsoft Mixed Reality, and that's because Microsoft was stupid in calling their headsets mixed reality. So the Windows mixed reality headsets, the Acer, the HP, the Samsung, all of those headsets, they're VR headsets. They're not mixed reality. They're not augmented reality. They're just like a Rift and a Vive, basically, other than they're not made by Oculus or HTC. Instead, it's a Microsoft headset, and you can play Steam VR games. You can play Rec Room like we are. You could play, you know, pretty much all the games on Steam with those headsets. They're just a little cheaper, and the tracking systems are inside out, which means they have cameras on the front where they just track your movement. The controllers have analog sticks and touchpads. But they are cheaper, and that's because the tracking isn't quite as good, and they're not as high performance usually. So that's the main difference. But so the HoloLens is kind of like the Magic Leap in that it's an augmented reality headset, where it's like glasses you put on, and it passes through your vision, and you see holograms and objects in the real world that you can kind of pinch and touch and move around. So it's not VR, it's AR. That's the difference there, is that the Windows mixed reality headsets are VR headsets. HoloLens is an AR headset. And Microsoft, I don't like you for your branding because it's not good.
Well, it was an unfortunate side effect of announcing HoloLens first and then trying to, you know, hold on to that term while they were still working on bringing HoloLens to market, essentially, which is just I mean, I agree with you. I absolutely hate the branding, but maybe in a couple more years it will make a lot more sense. Just right now, I feel like we should be keeping the two very, very separate. Anyway, so the really weird feature of this new headset, like you said, there's inside-out tracking. There's nothing special going on in the optics. It's the same resolution as the last one, which is, I think, is something like 280 by 140. But so the main difference with this one is you can actually take the front of the headset off, like you would, say, a mobile phone inside a
your avatar's face got a little grumpy when you said that, and it was hilarious. Yeah.
So yeah, it's almost like removing a phone from a smartphone based headset, but you are, imagine like I'm wearing an Oculus Rift right now and I've dropped my hands, which is why they look weird, and I literally took the front of the Rift off and I just had the head strap left. That's what you can do. Now that might seem really strange, but what Acer says is this is for location-based VR. So when you're at an arcade and one person goes on and then they switch off, if say you've got a little sweaty, what they can do is they can take that headset off, put another one in, then clean that headset, and then when they switch around again, plug them back in again.
So you're taking the lenses off. You're not taking the where the plug goes in or anything like that. So you're still connected to the PC. The experience is still running.
You're taking, but you're taking the entire
the
optics,
lenses,
the screen,
and the pads, away. The face pads. Oh,
so a significant part, which I think
that makes a little more sense. I understand now. Okay.
Yeah, because I don't know how many of our watchers and listeners have been to a VR arcade, but there's two pretty inelegant solutions for staying clean in VR at places like that. And one of them is to use a spray and just wipe between everyone, which isn't great because sometimes like people don't do a very good job of using the wipes.
Yeah, and sometimes the smell gives me a headache sometimes too.
Yeah, totally. And it can I've had it times where it stings as well. Like whatever they've left in there isn't nice. And the other one is to get you to wear what people call VR face condoms, which I just hate. Have you ever worn one of those?
Oh yeah, at events all the time. They're like little they look and feel like the toilet seat covers that you find at like Walmart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Just
emphasis
very
on
cheap.
look, because you've got them on your face,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you feel so stupid. I feel way
Yeah.
more stupid wearing one of those than I've ever felt wearing a VR headset.
And the
And
worst
so when I
thing
was
about
at
them...
Gamescom last week,
Yeah, go ahead.
you go for it. You go.
No, I'm being polite. You're gonna talk.
God damn it! All right, fine. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was at Gamescom last week, and like everyone was using them, and it was just a case of putting that thing on my face and then putting on the headset as fast as possible so people didn't see me. But then they put it on so fast that I'd get half of the material in my eyes anyway, you know. So if Acer has a genuine workaround for that, I'm all for it.
Ian said he's clapping for me. I don't know why, but I appreciate it. Here, there's a silent
Thanks, Ian.
VR
Clapping for you
clap.
too, bro.
And EAE, yeah, no problem. I'm glad I could clear that up for you. I assume there's a lot of people genuinely confused about that branding.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
of course there is.
let's see. I don't think we have any lingering questions on the internets here, but like I said at the beginning, we are streaming across the universe on YouTube, on Facebook, on Periscope and Twitter, on Mixer, on Twitch, all at the same time. Boom.
Boom.
Yeah, so what were you going to say?
Rippling out across the very realities. Well, so just to wrap up on the Acer thing, it's out in November for the same price as the original one was, $400. It's fine. I don't think it's going to change the VR landscape or anything. I think if any of the Windows headsets do that, it's going to be the Samsung Odyssey one day, which has a better resolution than this.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, right? So the Samsung Odyssey, earlier I said the Windows VR headsets are typically lower spec, but the Samsung Odyssey, those visuals are actually, the resolution is actually better than the Rift and Vive.
Yeah, it's same level as the Vive Pro.
Yeah,
but exactly. Half the price,
right?
Without any of the tracking sensors,
and your controllers will have analog sticks because obviously a good controller should have an analog stick. Yeah,
cool. So anyway, we'll see what comes of that. I think that.
Flip the table. Us. We're done. Flip it.
Flip the table. Do you know what? I'm done.
Oh
my god, that was Oh no.
This is a nightmare. Oh no.
Okay.
I can't actually manipulate it because I'm not the editor here, Mr. Jam Jam.
Can you not pick it up? All right, I'll take it out of the room.
I don't think I can. Let me see.
Okay, it's gone.
No, if I press my grip button, all it does is make me sit down. Yeah.
I love how we got the serious talky bit over, and now we're just running around like we're in a jungle gym.
Yeah,
thank you, everyone.
Look at the beautiful logo. Everyone should appreciate this magnificent. Thank you, everyone, for
appreciating my logo.
Upload.
I made this logo.
Even got the green tick on the. Oh, that's impressive.
Yeah, I did. I was particularly proud of that.
Yeah.
But get a close up of it.
Okay. Yeah. Let me get real close.
Oh,
look at that. Look at the detail. I mean, it's just unmatched. I can guarantee you this is the best 3D sculpted Upload logo in Rec Room today. No doubt.
Oh, you're just saying that.
No doubt.
You're just saying that. Look, I also made our faces.
Why does mine have a blue mark on it? Well, what is that?
Because you're playing PlayStation VR. Duh.
Oh, because Firewall. Yeah.
And then
okay.
I'm playing Rift. Ian's playing Vive, but they look very similar. So there's no,
Yeah. Where's the beveling on the Vive? You don't have the intricate detail on the texture.
Look, I'm not Danny Bittman. All right, man. I'm not.
Shout out, Upload alumnus.
A shout out to Danny, wherever you are.
Let's see here. We have a couple questions now that we messed around a little bit. Do you know if the Odyssey Plus is getting released in Europe? That's from Lightbringer.
Oh, that's a great question. We don't know where the Odyssey Plus is getting released right now. And to be clear, the Odyssey Plus is presumably a new Samsung mixed reality headset, the sequel to the Odyssey that we spotted in an FCC filing.
Take it back. Say Windows VR.
How can I?
You say Windows VR right now.
Hey David, look at the right whiteboard. Eat me.
Your guy is smiling as you say. Oh, okay. That was really funny.
Any more questions from Any questions from the team? Or the watching team?
Let me get the... Is it face cam? Yeah, okay. So let me turn around so they can see both of us. Where are you at? Okay, there you go. You can see both of us now. I think... Wait, there we go. Okay. Hang on. I think I'm good. It should be... There we go. Okay, perfect.
Cool.
Let me see. Do we have any other questions? EAE, recommendations for glasses wearers in VR. So there's VR Lens Lab, which Paradise Decay just posted down in there. You can get custom lenses. Personally, for me, I actually do wear glasses inside all my VR headsets. So I keep my glasses on, whether I'm in Rift, Vive, PSVR, Oculus Go, Windows, mixed reality.
Yep. Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, so all of them, I wear my glasses. I have to. My vision is so terrible that if I didn't, then I would not be able to see a thing. My vision's awful. So that being said, the most comfortable is easily PSVR, without a doubt. All the PC headsets squish my face, and they're very uncomfortable. Easily PSVR is the most comfortable headset for a glasses wearer, I would say. And that's because of the design where it slides in and out. Some of the Windows headsets have a similar design. I think the HP does. Some of the other ones do as well. And let's see what Jamie's been writing back here. What is he?
I was just writing ha 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 ha.
That's it?
I was laughing at the fact that you had to say it.
Now you're just writing my name?
David, no. Mel's.
That's actually pretty good handwriting for VR.
That's about as good as it is in real life as well, just so you know.
You know
okay, in podcast over, let's just draw on the whiteboard.
Hold on.
David smells. No. You. Oh, damn it. Should have thought about that. I should have counted it.
Okay, I think let's see here.
Let's
We're pretty much at the end of this thing here, right? The colors in the Lenovo headset are washed out. I can't speak to that, Lightbringer. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No.
So thank you guys for watching. This is Jamie.
Yeah, thanks for joining, guys.
He's the senior editor of the VR Download now. That's his title.
Yeah, and what we really want you to do, like I said at the start, guys, is to head to the story that we've got running for this, and let us know in the comments what you think of the podcast so far and what we could improve. Because let's be honest, this was a little messy, but it was good. It was fun, and we'll work on that, because I'd like in 3 or 4 episodes time to have like a kind of podcast maybe where we don't flip the table by accident or.
Well, yeah, it should be on purpose each time. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, yeah. We'll have playtime at the very end where we trash the place, which is always great.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, thank you to everyone. Yep. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure speaking with you here.
Yep.
Whoa!
Game,
what happened?
Good game.
Oh, there we go.
Good game. Good. Oh. Good game. Good game.
Yep. Okay. Well, I think we're gonna stop the stream now. Okay, there it is.
I'm waving them everyone. Out. Stop the stream like this. Okay, remember me. Take me home. Take me home
to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama. Upload. Take me home.